And if I can tweet it, if you give me the link.
Sure. I think it's mainly just our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Let me get it from our YouTube channel.
Or it's loading now.
And if I can tweet it, if you give me the link.
Well,
I think it's mainly just our YouTube channel.
Okay.
Let me get it from our YouTube channel.
Okay, here it is. And we're live.
Yeah.
So we're back for the second chain reaction. This time we have Zaki and Jack. And basically, I think this time we're going to give more an update on the development process of IBC and the Cosmos Hub. But maybe we get started since next week is San Francisco Blockchain Week and the DeFi Hackathon. What are you anticipating that we will have ready? What are you anticipating seeing at the DeFi Hackathon? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we you know, DeFi Hackathon, I think, is really an exciting place for Cosmos to showcase a bunch of the stuff we've been working on over the last 6 months since the hub launch. We really have had quite a bit going on, and you know, especially with DevCon and all of these other conferences, it's easy for a lot of that stuff to get lost. So this is going to be a showcase of a lot of big projects that we've been working on for a while. You know, for me personally, IBC, and I know that that's kind of at the top of Zaki's list. That's what we're most excited about.
So specifically, like what we're going to have for IBC is, or what we're aiming for is two things. One is we have the IBC protocol implementation that the team at Tendermint has been working on integrating into the Cosmos SDK. We're going to be able to demo that. We're going to have people available to show people participating in the hackathon how to use the software. We are also expecting to have contributed by the Iris team on an implementation of ICS-20, which is token transfers, working in live.
Yeah, and I was actually just checking on that this morning. It looks like we should have that available in the demo that I was hoping to run through today, but we did not quite. I think we're going to be about a day late on the updated demo. So look for that early next week, and we'll be incorporating the Iris token transfer work. Other big projects that are kind of announcing things at the DeFi Hackathon, the Agoric folks as well, another huge one. You know, I think a lot of folks in our community have seen our collaboration with Agoric on IBC over the last few months. But Agoric is also working on a bunch of really exciting things around safe smart contracts in JavaScript on top of the Cosmos SDK. And for me, you know, seeing additional VMs in programmability come to Cosmos-based chains is a great feature. And I'm really looking forward to what Agoric will be demoing. I do know that they're also working on an IBC implementation, but I don't know if that will be compatible with ours by the time the hackathon happens. So, you know, Zaki, you've seen them recently too, right?
Yeah, I haven't done an update yet on whether or not Agoric's implementation will be ready. But you know, that's certainly a target. We have literally 4 different virtual machines integrated into Cosmos in time for the DeFi Hackathon. We have Tendermint, Cadena running on top of Tendermint, which we'll be able to demo at the DeFi Hackathon. We have ChainSafe's EVM on top of the Cosmos SDK. We have Agoric's swing set implementation, and we have Wasm on top of the Cosmos SDK also available. I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be for the DeFi Hackathon in general is too many things. And in general, we've really put out a lot of new infrastructure in terms of Cosmos that we haven't really had too much of opportunity to share with the community, and for the community and our developer community to start picking up and playing with and trying to figure out new applications and use cases for. But all of this stuff is sort of coming together right now with IBC. And IBC is the mechanism by which we are going to bring this to the public network.
Yeah, this is, I mean, what I was just at the Blockstack conference yesterday, and this is exactly what Andres Antonopoulos was talking about, like how IBC is going to connect, or interoperability in general is going to connect these kind of disparate chain communities and help bring them into like one like global crypto community. So if we're thinking about each of those 4 VMs, all very exciting, Zaki, one thing I don't know a ton about is Cadena.
Yep.
I do know that they have their own domain-specific language. Can you talk a little bit about the applications on Cadena and what folks are excited about there?
Yeah, so I would say that like each of our VMs have like kind of unique selling points, which is kind of like why it's sort of interesting to have all of these in the Cosmos ecosystem. All of the VMs that have been integrated into Cosmos and Tendermint. What is unique about Pact is that it is a language that is focused on formal verification and security and making that really accessible to developers. It's probably the first smart contract language that is really kind of has this goal of making the whole formal verification not just like a specialist activity, but something that the developer can just add to their smart contract as they're building. And that seems to be a really exciting and unique capability. And it'll be available both in Cosmos through Tendermint and on the Cadena mainnet, which is launching soon.
Is that kind of similar to what Facebook's been trying to do with Move and like guaranteeing developer safety at the language level?
Yeah, I would say there is, there is to a certain extent a certain amount of overlap between both the efforts of within Facebook on Move and Pact. In terms of what they're allowed, what they're permitting to guarantee, what they're trying to do at the language level, what they're trying to do at the smart contract level. Pact's solutions in terms of being able to, for instance, provide guarantees in the smart contract, like formally verifying that the interaction between 2 contracts will always be correct. So between something like a Uniswap contract and let's say a token contract, being able to guarantee that those interactions will always be correct. This is something that like Move is like aspiring towards, but Pact has it in some developed form. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all these pieces start fusing together with IBC in this ecosystem.
I think one of the most interesting articles I've ever seen on the benefits of formal verification are Boeing did a couple of different flight tests on different helicopters with one version, the software was formally verified and the other one it wasn't. And I think they had like 10 or 15 different people trying to like actively defeat the systems in the drone helicopter. In the one without formal verification, they were able to bring the helicopter down fairly quickly. However, the formally verified helicopter was able to keep flying. And there's a lot more detail about that if you go check it out online. And for me, that kind of really solidified, like thinking about formal verification as you're building these extremely complex systems, the pieces at the bottom especially really need to be extremely solid and proof against attack. And when building complex smart contracting applications with something like Cadena, an issue like the DAO becomes much harder. So I think that's a nice time to transition into.
I do want to just like make one point relative to like DeFi and all of this investment that we've made. So far the DeFi ecosystem has been very much focused on like the Ethereum ecosystem, which we are supporting in Cosmos through Ethermint. But like one of the real, I would say, limitations on the potential of DeFi right now is that like we don't really know that the contracts that are managing hundreds of millions of dollars are correct. The Ethereum virtual machine was not designed with any sort of formal verification in mind. There's been great work by the runtime verification people sort of bolting on formal verification. But like one of the things that we're trying to do with, both the work with Agoric and Swingset and the work with Cadena and Pact is actually provide options for building DeFi tooling in the Cosmos ecosystem that has like sort of much stronger safety guarantees. And hopefully that will make the investors, the wider public feel much more comfortable with potentially having large amounts of money, as all this work that we've done in terms of formal verification of Tendermint, all the work that we've done in terms of the testing and correctness of the Cosmos SDK stack, adding on top of that, all of this work that we've been able to bring in from the community, from the wider blockchain ecosystem in terms of smart contract correctness, it really should provide an entirely new compelling playground for DeFi applications. And that's kind of like what we're planning to show off with this sort of, with having all these VMs, having all of this, having all of these VMs, having IBC, having all of these pieces start to come together during SF blockchain.
Speaking of pieces coming together, I think we could keep talking about VMs for a while, but moving on to another major project that's looking to launch during SF Blockchain Week is something called MicroTick, which is a price oracle based on an options pricing model that is aiming to provide real-time price data in a decentralized manner over IBC. Another application I think is very interesting. Billy Renkamp, who's one of our developer evangelists, has been working closely with them to help build demos. And we've been working with that project, Zaki and I have, for over a year at this point. Excited to see, well, I've seen the project quite a bit, excited to see people start playing with it.
I'm also excited to see the competition that they're going to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
It should be cool. So what else is at SF Blockchain? What have we not covered yet here, Michelle?
I did want to ask you guys quickly back to if we're just thinking about the hackers coming to DeFi Hackathon.
Yeah.
You guys have just talked about a lot of stuff that they have available.
Oh, this is like the challenge.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, first of all, is it all connected? So I get to play the layman here with the questions, or will they have to kind of pick and choose what they want to do?
At this point, the ecosystem is not fully connected. So this is the opportunity. You have these atomic pieces. You have SwingSet, which may or may not have IBC integration. Yeah. We're not sure. We have IBC in the Cosmos SDK. We have these smart contract platforms. It's something that for some of them, like Ethermint, it would be possible potentially in the course of a hackathon to connect Ethermint to IBC because they're both based on the Cosmos SDK. That seems like a thing that might be within the realm of what you could accomplish in the hackathon. Some of these other tools you can sort of build the isolated pieces, but not fully put it all together yet.
Also, speaking of Ethermint, Jay and Christine, or Django, and I and Billy actually jumped on a call with the ChainSafe team in Aragon earlier today and did an AMA on Ethermint, as well as Aragon's move over there. So if anyone's interested in a bit more detail on Ethermint, that's a great place to go. Also, the ChainSafe team will be with us during the hackathon to help folks out looking to build on top of Ethermint.
Yeah.
So
I'm overwhelmed by the number of things.
Yeah.
I'm a little.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask. I think it's good sometimes. Maybe when you mean a demo that'll be ready for SF Blockchain Week DeFi Hackathon, what does that mean exactly? For will we be able to showcase it and walk through?
I mean, in terms of the IBC demo, I think Zaki and I have been talking about this for a while. What are we most excited at this point about folks hacking on with IBC? And it's building these application level protocols. So talking a bit about IBC at this point, IBC, a lot like TCP/IP, if you're a developer, is a layered connection protocol. At the base layer in TCP/IP are machines, and then there's handshakes, channels are created, and data is sent down that. And that data is essentially just arbitrary bytes. And the only thing that gives it meaning are these protocols like HTTP, which is the one that all of our computers speak, that helps end users interpret that data accurately. So right now, the protocols that we're planning on shipping IBC with are token transfers. So one thing that you can do with those bits over those channels is send value across in the forms of tokens. NFTs would be another one. I do know that there's a team planning to hack on an NFT protocol. But much more advanced things like cross-chain accounts, the ability for a validator set on one chain to control an account on another chain and actually make payments over there. That was recently submitted by a community member. I'd love to see some work on that during the hackathon. And then other things like the validator, cross-chain validation, where the validator set of one chain provides a good portion of the voting power for another chain, or the voting power in the entirety. So this is similar to the Polkadot shared security feature that a lot of people talk about. But because IBC allows sending of arbitrary data between chains, there's a multitude of potential applications for it. And I think, and because this is a new paradigm, maybe this idea of point-to-point data transfer in the terms of value is not going to be what's going to end up being the most valuable application of IBC. Maybe it is something like this cross-chain validation or some other yet to be dreamed up protocol. So excited to see developers hack on that. And for me, obviously being most involved with the IBC project, I'm most excited to see devs hack on that.
Yeah. I would just say that one of the big things that we'll be ready for the DeFi Hackathon is it will be very doable within the Cosmos SDK for a developer for a team to come in, take the IBC demo code that we have, the work in progress, that end-to-end works, take the Iris token transfer demo and use that as an example, and develop sort of any new arbitrary application layer protocol on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So if people are familiar with the Cosmos SDK at the DeFi Hackathon, then they will easily be able to play around with IBC.
Yeah, I mean, we have a tutorial up right now, or well, it's not really a tutorial. It's more like a demo that you can run that shows the interaction between two chains.
Okay.
And this sort of transitions us nicely into the IBC current progress discussion. I set that demo up about 2 weeks ago. We've done a fairly significant amount of work to bring the IBC code that the research team delivered up to the coding standards of the SDK, as well as add some additional features around like client verifications and et cetera, et cetera. We've started merging that work, and Federico, who's been the lead SDK developer doing a lot of that on IBC, is delivering a branch to me on Gaia that I will be able to like rebuild this demo on. So I'm anticipating having that ready early next week. And ideally, we can add the token transfer protocol to that as well. So that's kind of the current plan for IBC, and we seem to be very much on track for that for the DeFi Hackathon. So the bits that you'll be able to play with will be fully implemented ICS2, which is the client protocol, ICS3, which is connections, ICS4, which is channels, ICS5, which is ports, and
the light client should be integrated.
The light client is integrated already. ICS23, which is sort of that Merkle-proof format. And then on top of all of those sort of individual pieces, that's kind of where you have IBC. And then that allows you to build application level protocols. And we will have an example of those application level protocols ready for developers to hack on. Okay. And the really nice thing about IBC is a lot of that infrastructure that we've been building that I just mentioned, all that work, like most people don't ever have to worry about that. Like what you have to worry about is the format of the packets that are coming across the IBC connection. And that's, I think developers will have a much better understanding of that piece of the protocol after playing with it. Okay. Also understanding how the connection between the two chains works, how I think persistent those connections are, and how easy it is to send data down the channels will become much more apparent once folks get their hands on the bits and actually start connecting chains.
So if we look at it after DeFi Hackathon, what's kind of like what's like next then for you all?
We are, we've been talking
about anything other than DeFi.
Yeah, no, it's so we have a bunch of things. One is, basically finishing the implementation, getting it into security audits, which is a big piece of the, delivering a final, the final IBC version 1 to the community. We also have, what we really want is this is really now starting, DeFi Hackathon is kind of like our first foray into familiarizing our developer ecosystem with with all of the pieces of the Cosmos SD of IBC and what you as a developer can actually do with this protocol. And what we're going to be doing kind of after DeFi Hackathon is really taking all of that online, and working and like bringing this to the our whole global community of developers and users and validators, how they can do things with IBC, and then that will lead into Game of Zones, which more details should probably be available. Worst case, the week after DeFi Hackathon, and then we'll do Game of Zones. And then we'll release a version of Gaia that has IBC built into it, and then Cosmos Hub will decide, how they want to adopt it.
That version of Gaia is also going to likely have a bunch of other non-IBC related upgrades, including your upgrades and a ton of other stuff. Very excited to sort of get out in the world what we've been working on for a while, especially because the last upgrade has gotten held up. I think a lot of users are getting used to an older version of the software at this point that's going to be, they're going to notice significant upgrades with these next two.
But hopefully fewer breaking changes.
Yeah, there are fewer breaking changes. Yeah. It's just additional functionality, smoother functioning of existing pieces, a bunch of stuff like that. One quick note on the Game of Zones. We do have a lot of folks asking us about Game of Zones, and that's great. I love the questions, love the enthusiasm. Really can't wait to get this out and share it with you all. But we've been hesitant to publish a lot of details because
I haven't finished those details.
Well, that's part of it, but also another part of it is we were unsure whether or not the research team was going to deliver a secure or insecure version of IBC and what the level of feature completeness would be at the time we were planning on doing Game of Zones. So planning those different stages, what the victory conditions are and all of that stuff has not been really possible for us. And we've had to kind of wait for this implementation to come in and start getting like everyone's hands on it before we can really give a good judgment on what we need to test with this public testnet. So thank you everyone for hanging on with us, and please, if you have questions, drop them in the channels. I'm happy to tell you what my current feelings are on Win IBC. So yeah.
So I think mainly then, if we've kind of updated, and if you guys want to update on a few more things, I think we should probably open this up and collect questions the next time.
Yes.
I'm still.
Yeah. Well, we are live on YouTube. I would imagine that someone's asking questions over there. Is anyone in the chat? Also, I can check Telegram.
I was going to say it's not very user friendly yet to hear yourself delayed on YouTube in order to find the questions for the Zoom channel. But anyway, so maybe like when we have the demo ready, we jump on a call and we open it up and collect questions so we can hopefully help people get onboarded as quickly as possible for the hackathon.
Michelle, if you actually open up the link and then mute the video, you should be able to see the questions.
Do we have some?
I don't know. I don't really have internet on my phone right now because I just ran into Zaki's house.
I can fix it.
Okay. Yeah. Here.
Yeah, I live in the woods.
Top left. Hold top left. Yep.
It does say. I think Zaki, you mentioned.
Okay.
A presentation. So is there a link?
A presentation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think did I mention a presentation?
Did you do a presentation on IBC recently?
No.
Maybe at DEF CON?
No.
Okay.
If you just.
Is somebody requesting like a quick IBC presentation at the DeFi Hackathon?
No, I think it's.
I believe Chris Goes will be doing one of those.
That too. I think it's Gregory from Region is asking about the presentation, but I'm not sure. So we don't have so many questions, but maybe next time we try and collect some and we get them answered when we have the demo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Gregory, I did reference an IBC demo that's in the Gaia repo, pull request 130. and there's instructions on the PR of where to find the instructions there. So I can also DM that to you.
And on another note, if you aren't familiar and you watch this video later, we do have a bi-weekly inter-blockchain communication working group. And so if you want to start getting involved and familiarize yourself with the kind of like the template and the process and all of that that's being worked on, it's a good place to listen in and kind of engage with the team. And so you can link that in the at the bottom of the YouTube.
If you're planning on building, if you're coming to the DeFi Hackathon and you're planning on, and you think you're interested in building something on IBC, the pull request 103 on the Gaia repo, github.com/cosmos/Gaia is probably pull request 103 is the place, and like understanding how all that code works is the place to, and like run through that demo, understand how that code works. And then is the Iris demo on their own?
Yeah, I'm actually messaging them to try to get that on our repo so that we can bring it up. I dropped them a message in HQ. I dropped Harriet and Haifeng a message in HQ.
Yeah, so we're trying to get the Iris token, ICS20 token transfers demo sort of integrated into that repo as well. But you could potentially hunt it down on there.
Yeah. Well, it's actually open in a PR on the Cosmos SDK, but the actual implementation exists in their repo. But you can see the diff there.
We can put a link to it below too.
Pardon?
We can put a link below it in the.
Oh yeah. I can. We can drop some links later.
And then also the diffusion presentation from Chris. I can also. That's a question. I can put that in there as well.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and hopefully we did a recording this weekend of it, so we have access to that. So I think that's a wrap then, and maybe we do another one of these when we collect questions from the community and we have the demo next week leading up to the hackathon. Does that sound
into
good?
it? And then we could do it live at the hackathon too.
Actually, that's so I was hoping that we could get some of the judges and people to join the Cosmos YouTube live and like give some random thoughts about what they're seeing and how it's going.
I like that. Yeah, just like in-person reactions at the conference.
I just saw this cool thing.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to the DeFi Hackathon.
Yeah.
There's a lot of IBC content that exists in the repos. Really looking forward to having the developer community start playing with it. Now is a great time.
Yeah. Also, if IBC is maybe not your boat and you want it to be a little bit more fully baked before you play with it, there is an avalanche of other content out there for folks to get involved in, and very excited to see what comes out of this hackathon. The last one we did in Berlin was incredibly productive, and I just, one of the coolest hackathons and conferences, if not the coolest I've ever been to. So excited about this one in SF.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hasta luego, Michelle.